Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We begin with the pirate prince Sinbad returning home from a long voyage at sea. His crew includes an unnamed Viking that wields a dual-headed warhammer and Morningstar that also makes julienne fries. The colorful Cantu is called the Chinese soldier of fortune and quotes Confucius, but he's played by a Japanese actor and is credited as samurai. Poochie the dwarf is basically just their mascot, and Cheropolis is called the bald cook, which implies there was once one with hair. The final seaman is Prince Ali, who's getting married, so everyone is sailing towards the city of Basra to attend his wedding. His bride is the Princess Alina, whose defiant personality contrasts with her being easily kidnapped and held hostage for the whole movie. An evil sorcerer named Jaffar has remodeled a tower of the royal palace into a large clockwork structure and installed a pit of lava for ambience. He's the advisor for the King Caliph, who puts together a celebration for his daughter's wedding in an overcrowded market with only 10 stalls. Jaffar conjures a storm that knocks over a single baklava stand, so there's a mass exodus throughout the city and we never see another local. The Caliph calls for Jaffar's aid because if anybody knows about dark magic, it's the evil wizard who probably caused this mess in the first place. Mistakes were made and the dastardly villain hypnotizes the plump ruler along with every guard in the city, or they just switch sides. Alina comes wandering in and thinks there's something strange about her father, but just assumes he must have eaten some bad kebab. He orders her to marry Jaffar instead of Prince Ali, but she refuses, so gets thrown into a brainwashing machine in the wizard's tower. Down at the empty dock, Sinbad arrives and tells his crew to wait with the ship while he investigates the suspiciously quiet city. He visits the palace in his prettiest purple tights and brocaded vest to find the catatonic king on the throne, feather fanning his crotch. Jaffar reveals his true intentions, and a flabbergasted Sinbad says that he should have known the evil sorcerer was behind all of the evil sorcery going on. He defeats all of the guards who charge at him single file, but Jaffar pulls a dagger on the king because he's a complete wimp. Sinbad must lay down his weapons and kneel on top of a trapdoor so that he can be sent down a slide to the dungeon full of serpents. Unbeknownst to the villain, Sinbad can speak the beast language and he convinces them to help him escape by stroking his snake.
They really take advantage of you.
He ties them all together in a series of knots to create a rope to climb out of the dungeon, as those snake and ease lessons finally paid off.
Hey.
During this time, the crew waiting in the marketplace have their meal interrupted by the guards, so they fight for their right to eat a succulent roast chicken. Cantu and the Viking easily defeat all of the ones shown, but we cut to the whole crew being thrown in the dungeon because you can't beat them all. Each man gets placed into a different torture device, including one with a hungry mutant eel, because variety is the spice of life, I suppose. Before anything gets stretched, Sinbad comes to the rescue, having just serpentined his way out of his own cell below. He basically fights just like Hercules and throws his own sword away most of the time to bend metal poles and flex out of chains. Once each of the soldiers are tossed into the eel pond, Sinbad throws the torturer into the Iron Maiden and frees his friends. He sends Poochie to locate the evil wizard's tower that's eluded the king for years, and this dude finds it in a single afternoon. He overhears Jaffar reciting his evil plan to Alina, who will take 7 whole months to brainwash because the machine's in quiet mode. Jaffar sends 4 sacred gems that are supposed to protect the city to the most dangerous and quest-provoking places in the kingdom. Poochie gives Sinbad his mission that they're to return the stones before the princess falls in love with Jaffar and he becomes king or something. The pirates set sail, so Jaffar summons legions of the damned to take them out, but they just pull up on a ghost ship and stare at our seamen. Sinbad just flexes his pecs and shoots one with his bow, but they topple over easier than sunflowers, so the pirates defeat them without a problem. The captain looks slightly intimidating with his white robes inside, but Sinbad is out here literally punching off heads. He gets disarmed briefly and all hope seems lost, but weapons only hold him back and Sinbad just punches straight through the captain's chest. The extracted heart looks like a little demon's head for some reason, but Sinbad just pops it like a pimple and we continue on with the mission. A few days later, an oracle appears to the seamen and tells them exactly where to find all of the gemstones, so that's lucky. They sail to Skull Island, but the dangerous seas surrounding it forces Sinbad to swim to shore alone while his crew wait on the boat. He goes spelunking and locates the gem rather easily, but it's lodged in the forehead of a large excremental known as a crap demon. It's solidified into a rock, so swords simply shatter upon its breast and all hope seems lost again as it walks Sinbad into a corner for squashing. He remembers how awesome he is, so punches its head off, then hurls it into the body before collecting the stone and calling it a day. Next, the crew sails to the island of Amazon women, but Cherry and Pooch remain on the ship while the rest of the pirates eagerly go ashore. The first contact they have with the local population is when the Viking has an acrobatic Amazon spread leg pelvis thrust him to the ground. Next, Loverboy gets a sleeping dart to the cheek and Cantu, who gets caught in a snare, but they would also like to be captured like the Viking, please.
Chin up.
Sinbad is seduced by the Amazon queen Ferrigno herself, who shakes it like a Polaroid picture to put him under her spell. He completely forgets about the mission and doesn't even try to help his imprisoned friends who are subjugated to a night of tribal dances. Each one of them passes out from an overload of seduction before the queen takes their captain to the Amazon love hut. Having followed them ashore in his little flotation device, Poochie the anti-Coochie dwarf pours a potion on the hero's shoulder, causing him to go limp. He removes the amulet around Ferrigno's neck, revealing her true form as a hideous old cougar just trying to get laid. The hero finishes her off, then frees his crew and sets sail for their next destination with the second gemstone in hand. Jaffar begins to get nervous, so he recruits the help of a bodybuilding sorceress wearing a barely there gimp costume named Sukra. She spends most of the time taking shots at Jaffar's lame brainwashing machine and wanting to prove her strength against Sinbad. For some reason, Jaffar teleports Sinbad's entire ship to the island of the dead, which is where the last two gemstones are located. He was hoping that the undead knights guarding it would kill the crew, but some of these empty suits of armor only take a single strike to defeat. The pirates crush all the ghost knights like empty beer cans, while sometimes Sinbad will just throw a knight off their horse and they die. Jaffar suddenly teleports the boat and everyone except for Sinbad back out to sea, but he should have done it when the hero was outnumbered. Only the Ghost King is left to defeat, and he's stuck on his horse that's been never-ending storied halfway into the ground. Jaffar imbues the empty suit with his powers, forcing Sinbad to his knees and allowing the handicapped king to land a finishing blow. Our hero just completely out-awesomes the super slow motion to take the sword, then destroys the Tin Man and obtains the third gem. Unable to find his friends, Sinbad takes a nap and wakes up to the sight of Kira, because we needed to give our protagonist a girl. Her father is a wizard named Nadir who crash-landed them here in a hot air balloon and is almost finished making the repairs. While he continues with that, his daughter shows the stranger the way to the last gemstone, but not before Sinbad gives Dad one of these. The stone is being guarded by more undead, but these are slime-covered ghouls who pose even less of a threat than the two previous iterations. While Sinbad fights them off, Kira is captured, but they just tie her up inside a building, then begin nibbling at her ankles or something. Our swashbuckling strongman defeats them all and even uses one ghoul to beat some other ghouls before saving the damsel in distress. Sinbad must still face off against a second excremental, but this one is slimy and fires lasers, so a step up in competition. Fortunately, it has no accuracy, so must get its fat backside out of its throne to waddle over, but still misses from like 3 feet away. It's immune to wooden sticks, and by sheer dumb luck a stray blast causes a support beam to collapse on Sinbad, who's about to die because of shoddy construction work. He tries to use a stone like a pistol, but the crap demon just blasts it out of his hand, then returns to missing everything else it targets. Another stray shot frees Kira from her restraint, so she tosses the gem back to Sinbad, who dual wields the relics like a pair of automatic handguns. He obliterates the Dookie demon with the technique of spraying and praying, which causes it to collapse like the puppeteer just gave up. With the fourth stone in hand, Sinbad inflates the balloon with hot air directly from his bicep, then they float back to Basra like dandelions in the wind. They regroup with the rest of the crew at sea before we cut to them in Basra killing Jaffar's soldiers because they showed up in style. Even Kira is out there punching armed soldiers with her bare fists because nobody gave her a weapon, not even the dude with 8 knives and only 2 arms. Sinbad leaves his crew to take care of the soldiers while he goes to the palace and slaughters his way to Jaffar. When he arrives at the tower, the evil sorcerer traps Sinbad inside a cage of magic where metal would have sufficed, but he just crushes it into a pile of magical spaghetti. Jaffar then conjures a doppelganger of Sinbad that moves around almost like it's human, but is firmly in the category of creepy as hell. The two fight in a show of glistening strength that's impossible to know who's the hero unless you work backwards from who dies at the end. The real Sinbad begins to win, so evil Sinbad squeezes his kidney and tosses the hero across the platform like a hot potato. When all hope seems lost for the 50th time, Sinbad's skinnier arm flips the second best looking man in the room over his head and he perishes in lava. Jaffar just gives up and doesn't even pull a dagger or anything, while Sinbad reforges the gems into this symbol that apparently keeps evil magic away. It frees the princess from her acrylic bindings, but her father doesn't remember anything that happened before the mind control. Sinbad just tells him that Jaffar has resigned, but drops him down to the dungeon where he'll be forced to stroke snakes for the rest of his life. We completely skip the rivalry between Sukra and Sinbad, and now she's standing around in the king's court, but nobody said this was Shakespeare. In fact, the movie claims to be Edgar Allan Poe's Scheherazade story, but the two have about as much in common as Sinbad and his new wife. He marries Kira because she looked at him like this that one time and wears his puffiest shoulders for the wedding ceremony. Prince Ali and Princess Alina also get married on Sinbad's ship to emphasize the groom's shared seaman lifestyle. And the movie ends.